Today I'm going to show you how to embroider eyes on your Amigurumi dolls like Naruto here. So first we want to identify where the eyes should go. Take your head, count 13 rows from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, and we want to just push the pen in anywhere where you think looks good. We want the eyes to be about 8 complete stitches apart. So if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Actually, I'm going to go one more on the other side of that, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to cover one complete stitch with black embroidery thread. Now, embroidery thread usually comes about this thickness, and really that's too thick. You'll end up with trouble pushing it through towards the end. So usually what I do is I separate it until I have about 2 or 3 strands together. So for this, we're going to use 3 strands together. You want to cut a piece that's long enough that you're not going to run out towards the end. Now to start, I actually push the needle in somewhere over here. And we're going to try to come up where that pin is. So you might have to kind of feel around at first till you get pretty close. Now I can take that pin out and I'm going to pull the needle through. I'm actually going to pull all the way through till the black thread disappears. Okay, now what I want to do is to make an X shape covering this complete thread. So you can see here's the stitch here. See how it's like an X? And I'm just going to kind of follow that. So I'm going to go in on the other side and down. Don't pull it too hard. You'll pull all the black thread all the way through. Okay. Now I'm going to go across and come down here. And I don't want it to make a loop. Okay, now go back across again. And then back across again. I'm going to keep doing that till it actually looks pretty well covered. See, it's already starting to cover that space pretty well. So let's do that again. Just kind of making an X. Go back across this way. Now when it starts to look pretty full like this, I actually kind of like to do kind of a square to fill in some of these spaces. So I might go across like this. And then across this way. Now this way. This way. I might go back to the X shape, and if you just keep going, eventually it's going to completely fill that space with black. Going back to the X. So see, I have kind of a space there, so maybe I want to cover that a little bit better. Let me go across this way. If you also like to add in color to your eyes, like the iris and such, this is a good way to make the pupil. Okay, so I feel like I'm getting pretty close to finish. Maybe a few more. You can kind of use your finger to push where you want the thread to end up. Okay, when it gets pretty well covered like this, I can move over to the other eye without cutting it. So what I'm gonna do, push it in one more time, and I'm gonna have the needle come out where this other pin is. Okay. So now that eye is complete and I can start on the next eye. Now remember, we're gonna wanna cover this whole stitch here with the thread. So I'm gonna start with an X shape again. And keep going back and forth with an X or a box shape until that space is filled. All right, now I'm going to pause the video and jump forward to where you see I do the little eyebrow across. Okay, you can see I finished the eye here. Now we're going to do the little line across that kind of makes his, I don't know, eyelid, eyelash, whatever you want to call it. Don't worry about where you ended up here. We can always adjust, like if I want to come back down one more time, it might be a little easier. But I want to go out like one more stitch along the same line as the top of my eye. And then I'm just going to go across the top about one stitch past. Okay, now when I go down, I'm going to go ahead and come out across for the next eye. So I'm going to go down with my needle through about one stitch out from the eye, and I'm going to come up over here about one stitch out from the eye. Okay, and I want to make sure this kind of goes across the top of the eye. There you go. Right, and then I can do the same thing over here. I'm going to go down again one stitch past the eye, and I'm going to poke my needle out somewhere out the side of the head like that. All right, and then you can snip that off, kind of push it back in, and you have your eyes. Now if I want to continue with anything else, maybe you want to add to the eye, maybe add something along the bottom, maybe add some eyelashes. On Naruto, you can see he has his little whisker stitches, so those are just straight lines. You can continue that way until you're all finished, and it looks pretty good.